Have you ever woken up one morning and felt like something was just off? Not in a big dramatic way, but maybe you were more tired than usual, or your back ached a little more than it used to. You brushed it off, made your usual breakfast, turned on the TV, and got on with your day. But somewhere deep down, you knew something wasn't right. What if I told you that something so small, so routine, that you do every day could quietly be shaving years off your life? Most people think that aging just happens. You get slower, stiffer, a little more forgetful. But what if it wasn't just age? What if it was a habit? Something so ordinary you barely notice it, that was speeding up the clock. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most overlooked daily mistakes that could quietly put your health and your future at risk. And no, this isn't about extreme diets or dangerous pills. It's about something much more subtle and far more dangerous. When I was a child, I remember my grandfather always saying, "It's not the big things that bring a man down. It's the little ones he ignores." He lived to 97, not because he had perfect genes or a doctor on call, but because he paid attention. He believed in small, daily choices. And I'll never forget what he told me on his 90th birthday. Don't ever sit too long. Sitting will bury you before old age ever gets the chance. That might sound dramatic, but it turns out he was right. Let's talk about the silent killer that's become an epidemic, especially for those over 60. Sedentary living. And before you think, well, I get up and walk around sometimes, stay with me. This isn't just about exercise. It's about what your body is doing or not doing, hour after hour, day after day. You see, after 60, your muscles begin to weaken faster, your bones thin, your heart doesn't pump as efficiently as it used to. That's natural, but when you add long hours of sitting to the mix, whether it's in front of the TV, at the kitchen table, or even reading in your favorite armchair, you're accelerating aging in every system of your body. Sitting for long periods has been linked to heart disease, diabetes, stroke, weakened muscles, poor circulation, and yes, even premature death. Studies have shown that sitting for more than 6 to 8 hours a day without consistent movement increases your risk of dying early by up to 40%. And that's even if you exercise. Let that sink in. Now, I know what you might be thinking. I'm retired. What else am I supposed to do all day? That's a fair question, but the truth is, it's not about never sitting. It's about how long you sit without moving and how often you remind your body that it's still alive. Let me tell you about Mrs. Lan, an 81-year-old woman I met last year. She lives alone in a small house filled with plants, books, and framed photos of her grandchildren. She's sharp, joyful, and active. I asked her what her secret was, and she laughed and said, "My couch never sees me for more than 30 minutes at a time." Turns out every half hour she gets up, sometimes just to stretch, walk to the window, or water a plant. And that's the key. You don't need to run marathons, but if you're sitting for more than 30 to 45 minutes at a stretch, your body starts to shut down systems it no longer thinks you need. Your muscles, your metabolism, your blood flow. It's not your age slowing you down. It's inactivity tricking your body into decay. So, what's the solution? It's simpler than you think. Start by setting a gentle timer for every 30 to 45 minutes during the day. When it goes off, just move. Walk to the kitchen, march in place, do 5 squats by your chair. You don't need to sweat. You just need to wake your body up again. And the beauty of this? You'll start noticing little changes quickly. Less stiffness, better sleep, even improved digestion. Movement isn't just about muscles. It boosts your brain too. When you move, you increase oxygen flow. That means better memory, clearer thinking, and even a reduced risk of Alzheimer's. You might not notice it after one day, but give it a week and you'll feel the difference. Your body will start to whisper, "Thank you." Another big mistake many seniors make is thinking, "I already walk once a day. Isn't that enough?" Walking is great, but if you walk for 30 minutes in the morning and then sit the rest of the day, you're still putting your health at risk. Think of it like brushing your teeth. You wouldn't brush once in the morning and then eat all day without brushing again, right? Your muscles need the same kind of upkeep, little check-ins throughout the day. And here's a little mental shift that can help. Don't think of it as exercise. Think it as giving your body a reminder that it's alive, that it still has purpose, that it's still part of the world around you. Stretch your arms and you tell your lungs to breathe deeper. Stand up and you tell your blood to flow stronger. Every move is a signal to your brain. I'm not done yet. Now, I want to take a moment to talk to those of you who might be struggling with mobility. Maybe your knees hurt or your balance isn't what it used to be. That's okay. You don't need to be perfect. Movement isn't about speed, it's about intention. Even seated exercises, gentle arm circles, or tapping your feet to music can reignite your circulation. Every little bit counts. And remember, you're not doing this just to live longer, you're doing it to live better. Because what's the point of more years if they're filled with stiffness, pain, and fatigue? Let me ask you something. When was the last time you danced a little in the kitchen while waiting for the kettle to boil? When was the last time you rolled your shoulders back and stretched your arms just because it felt good? These aren't luxuries. These are necessities, especially now. So if you take one thing from this conversation, let it be this. Don't let your chair become your coffin. Choose to move, even if it's just a little, because every step, every stretch, every pause to breathe deeply is a step away from decline and a step toward vitality. Let me tell you about Mr. Bin. He was 72 when I first met him, tall, quiet, and always sitting near the window in his son's home. His legs had gotten weaker, his energy low, and his doctor had warned him about prediabetes. But the hardest part for Mr. Bin wasn't his health. It was how invisible he felt. He once told me, "I feel like I'm watching the world live while I just sit here, waiting." And that broke my heart. Not because he was old, but because he had started to believe he was already finished, and yet nothing was physically stopping him from standing up and moving around. It was just the weight of years, of routine, of quiet resignation that had settled in his body like dust. You see, inactivity isn't just a physical threat, it slowly chips away at your spirit. The more we sit still, the smaller our lives become. The walls seem closer. The days blend together, and the worst part, we start to believe that shrinking is normal. But it isn't. You weren't meant to spend your golden years fading into the background. You weren't born just to exist. You were born to live. Even now. Especially now. Now here's the hard truth. People who remain sedentary for too long aren't just at risk of dying earlier. They also face a greater risk of living with less dignity. We're talking about loss of independence, needing help to use the bathroom, struggling to get out of a chair, not because the body gave out, but because it wasn't being reminded how to fight back. That's what happened to my friend Clara's father. In his 60s, he was still strong, still sharp, but after retiring, he fell into the trap that many retirees do. The couch became his anchor. Mornings on the sofa turned into entire afternoons. Meals became something to eat in front of the TV. He thought he was resting, but what he was really doing was rusting. By 70, he could barely climb the stairs. His balance was off. He needed a walker, not because of disease, but because his body had adapted to stillness. And once that decline begins, it's hard to reverse. It doesn't come with fireworks or loud warnings. It creeps in like fog. That's why I'm telling you now. Don't wait for a scare. Don't wait for a fall. Don't wait until your doctor gives you that look that says, "We should have caught this sooner." You can reclaim control. One small choice at a time. You see, your body is always listening. When you sit for long hours, it hears, "We don't need strength anymore." When you stay still, it says, "We must not be going anywhere." But when you move, even gently, it perks up. It starts to believe again. Even your brain responds. Studies show that sedentary behavior is directly linked to cognitive decline in older adults. The less you move, the more your memory, focus, and mental clarity fade. But when you simply stand up, blood flows faster, oxygen reaches your brain, and neurons fire more efficiently. You might not see it in a mirror, but inside your mind is thanking you every single time you choose movement over stillness. And this isn't about chasing youth. This is about honoring your present. Because here's the truth. You have more power than you've been told. Let's go back to Mr. Bin for a moment. After a few long talks, I encouraged him to make one small change. Stand up every commercial break during his TV time. That was it. No gym, no pressure. Just a few minutes of movement several times a day. At first, he'd stand and grumble, holding onto the armrest for support, but within weeks, something began to shift. His legs were less wobbly. He didn't tire as easily. He even started walking to the front gate every morning just to feel the sun. And one day he smiled and said, "I don't feel like I'm disappearing anymore." That's what this is about. Not adding years to your life, but adding life to your years. Maybe you've had a fall before. Maybe your back hurts. Maybe you use a cane. That's okay. Movement is for everyone, not just the strong. You can stretch in bed. You can rotate your ankles. You can do slow seated leg lifts while watching your favorite show. Every little act is a message to your body that you still care about it and that you're not giving up. Let's not forget the emotional weight of stillness either. Loneliness, depression, and anxiety are far more common in seniors who remain inactive. It's a vicious cycle. The less you move, the more isolated you feel. And the more isolated you feel, the less you want to move. But even a simple walk outside or a stroll to the mailbox can lift your spirits. Movement isn't just medicine for the body, it's nourishment for the soul. In fact, one of the most powerful transformations I've seen came from a 68-year-old widower named Henry. After his wife passed, he didn't leave the house for nearly 6 months. He barely spoke. But one day his neighbor knocked and asked if he'd join her for a 5-minute walk. He said no. The next day, she knocked again. Finally, on the 3rd try, he said yes. That 5-minute walk became 10 minutes the next week, then 20. Months later, Henry was leading a small walking group of seniors in the park. What changed? He simply decided to move forward, literally. So if you're listening to this thinking it's too late for me, please hear this. It's not. As long as you're breathing, you have the power to choose a different path. And that path starts with one decision: to move. To stand up and tell your body, "I'm still here." Don't underestimate the strength of small steps. Don't wait until your doctor tells you something's wrong. Take your life into your hands now, before the mistake of stillness robs you of everything you still have to enjoy. In the next section, we'll talk about a few surprising daily habits, things you may be doing without thinking that are quietly feeding this mistake and making you more vulnerable. But for now, just know this: your chair is not your destiny. Your past is not your limit, and your age, it's just a number. What matters is what you do today. Sometimes the most dangerous habits aren't the ones we know are bad. They're the ones that seem harmless, the ones that sneak into our routine quietly and stay there for years. That's how the daily mistake we've been talking about, extended inactivity, takes root. Not in one big decision, but in dozens of tiny ones we don't even notice. Let's take a closer look at how that happens. For example, one of the biggest traps: eating and sitting immediately afterward. For decades, many of us were taught that after a meal, you should rest. Maybe lie down, watch a little TV, let your food settle, they'd say. But the truth is, for people over 60, especially those dealing with blood sugar issues or weight gain, sitting down after meals can slow your metabolism and even increase your risk of insulin resistance. Over time, that builds into something more serious: weight gain, joint stress, heart issues, and yes, the kind of steady decline that increases your risk of not living past 75. But the fix is beautifully simple. Take a slow 5 to 10-minute walk after eating. That one change can help regulate blood sugar, improve digestion, and keep your joints mobile. It doesn't have to be a power walk. Just stepping outside and walking around your home or block is enough to signal to your body, "I'm still in motion. I still have places to go." Then there's the recliner trap. We all love a good cozy chair, especially after a long day or during our favorite show. But the problem begins when that chair becomes a full-day destination. I knew a woman named Auntie Lone who had a throne, a plush padded recliner that she loved more than anything. It faced the television, sat next to a small table with snacks and a remote, and by age 70, it had become her world. She wasn't lazy, far from it. But that chair became her comfort zone and eventually her prison. Within 2 years, her legs weakened. She was short of breath. She had to use a walker just to make it to the kitchen. She didn't realize she was giving her freedom away one cozy hour at a time. You see, comfort isn't always kindness. The body is like a garden. What you don't tend withers. That's why even the simple act of standing up every 30 minutes can do wonders. Set a timer if you need to. Stand, stretch, walk a few steps, then sit again. You'll be surprised how much that can change your energy levels. Another hidden trap: saying "I'm too tired" too often. Fatigue is real, especially as we age. But often, we confuse mental boredom or emotional sadness with physical tiredness. When life feels repetitive or lonely, the body responds by slowing down. You might find yourself yawning more, wanting to nap, skipping walks or errands, not because you're physically unwell, but because your spirit feels unmotivated. That's where movement as medicine becomes so important. You don't need to do it for exercise. Do it for joy, for proof that your body still listens when you give it a reason. Turn on some music. Dance for one song in your living room. Walk to the window and wave to someone outside. These small rituals can reignite energy you thought was lost. And here's one more sneaky habit: relying on others too much. Now, please don't misunderstand. Asking for help is a beautiful thing, but there's a difference between accepting assistance and surrendering your independence. I once spoke to a man named Fook, who was 74. He had a large family and they adored him, but they'd do everything for him: fetch his slippers, carry his groceries, even cut his food. He appreciated it, but eventually he stopped doing things for himself. And with that, he started to lose strength. Not because of illness, but because his muscles weren't being used. His son thought he was being kind, but in reality, he was unintentionally speeding up his father's decline. That's why it's crucial to keep doing what you still can do, even if it takes longer, even if it's a little uncomfortable. Your body stays strong through effort. Keep bending down to tie your shoes, keep reaching for that cupboard, keep walking to the mailbox. These small actions aren't chores, they're lifelines. And if someone offers to help, ask yourself first, can I try to do it myself? If the answer is yes, take that opportunity. You're not being stubborn, you're being wise. The point is this: the daily mistake isn't just sitting still. It's believing that sitting still is harmless. It's letting days go by without challenging your body to keep moving. It's not realizing that stillness, though quiet, is one of the loudest threats to your health. But the good news? This is one mistake you can undo, starting today. You don't need a gym, you don't need fancy equipment. You just need a decision to move, to reclaim what's still yours, to show your heart, lungs, muscles, and mind that they still have a job to do. Because when you make that choice, your body listens, it adjusts, it grows stronger again, day by day. And you become the kind of person who not only lives past 75, but thrives beyond it. So right now, wherever you're sitting, I invite you to do something simple. Stand up. Yes. Right now. Slowly. Gently. Stretch your arms. Roll your shoulders. Take one step. That single motion may seem small, but it's one of the most powerful acts of rebellion against decline. And if this message resonates with you, if you want to see more uplifting, practical advice for living fully after 60, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. It lets us know you're here, that you're fighting for your health, and that you're ready to live with purpose. Not just years, but quality in those years. You're not too old, it's not too late, and this is not the end. It's your next chapter. Let's keep moving together.